the most exciting things about being involved in weddings is later, almost a year later, seeing my brides again and seeing them just as happy as they were the day of their wedding. I'm joined today with Kasha Sutherland, who was one of my brides from 2012. We're going to talk about ranch weddings, culinary crafts, and all the things that happened to you. So there's a huge part of your story that I'd like to tell first. One, you were suited for a ranch wedding. I mean, even look at how you're dressed today. Yeah. Down to your boots, down to your scarf. You shouted, nature, I want to be just up in the mountains. Yeah. I love that. And so she hired Culinary Crafts to help her with this vision. But a week after your engagement, something happened.
Yes, so my fiance at the time was diagnosed with testicular cancer for the second time, a week after we got engaged. And so at that point, we had thought that we'd probably hold off a little bit on planning, kind of see where everything was going, how long the chemo would last. He actually wanted hair while we were getting married too, so that was another one. But eventually, as the process went on, I felt like I had so much downtime that I needed my mind to be occupied. So that's kind of when I started looking into caterers and a little bit of planning, and it turned into having a wedding date, 10 months later, and full-fledged planning with you.
And you chose a mountain setting.
Yep.
You chose a home that's owned by who?
It's the founder of Skull Candy, where I'm currently employed and have been for over 5 years. Very great friend of the family, and he was wonderful enough with his whole family to reach out and offer his gorgeous home up in the colony at the canyons. I mean, dream wedding right on the back of 9990 at the ski resort, and my husband is a huge skier.
Tell me a little bit about your sense of style and some of the things you chose like those.
So I knew one of the things when I was planning a wedding that I didn't want anything extravagant or anything that I would ever look back on, 20, 30, 50 years later and say, what was I thinking when I decided to do that?
Good girl.
Yeah. And so I think you can't go wrong with, dark woods, your ivories, your greens in there, because, it's what you see every day outside. It's the mountain setting. So I would never learn to hate that because I'll never hate the mountain. Right. I remember one of my first conversations with you was about the food. I want a great atmosphere, but the food's really important. We love the different varieties of food, and all of our foods were local foods. And so I love fish, he loves steak. We both love different kinds of salads and the artesian local cheeses. So we wanted to take advantage of everything that we have here in Utah and allow our guests to experience that, because most of our guests were from the South, and then we had a lot from Idaho, and then my whole family coming in from Europe. So I wanted everyone to experience a little bit of everything. And so with the buffet, the things you don't like, you don't take them, and the things you do like, you take a little more.
And that's what's the nice thing about a buffet is you have such a variety, but it creates a social atmosphere.
Yep.
The people can get up, enjoy the food, sit back down, get up again, sit back down. And then we had fun desserts.
Yep.
Talk about desserts.
So we did a big candy bar, which was my favorite part. I love candy. So we did all the candies, and then we did...
don't look like you enjoy much candy, but okay,
I do, I promise. And then we did all the cupcakes. So we did different kinds of cupcakes. And our cake, which was just, a cutting cake, but it had the beautiful, like petals almost coming out of it. I have never had so many compliments on a cake in my life, birthdays or anything, or heard so many people talk about a cake, and it was that small.
Well, one of the things that I think that you really did for Culinary Crafts was give us trust. And you really kind of just turned it over to us. You didn't micromanage. You had a lot going on in your life. Thank you. How did that work for you?
So I had the ideas at the beginning. I knew what I wanted. I knew I really wanted it to be very delicate. So with my florals, it was easy. There were a few pictures that I might have shown you all that were really delicate florals, all within the ivories. And then we had those nice wooden boxes with the moss and then the little votives. And it was easy for me, honestly, because once I had a few conversations with you, I knew that you had picked up on my style and that you wouldn't be bringing in chandeliers and, even down to the lanterns that we had at the entrance. I remember that originally we were going to have one type of lantern, and it was you guys who came to me and said, all of a sudden there's this new lantern in the market, and we think you'll like it more.
Better. Yeah.
And I did. And so when those small things happen, all of a sudden you say, you know what, you've got me. Like, you understand everything I like. Maybe I did one tweak, and that was like with a vinaigrette that we had. But aside from that, we just kind of when you click with someone, you realize that they know your style.
One of our slogans at Culinary Crafts is, we're catering and a whole lot more.
Yep.
And you let us do that. So thank you for trusting us to
No,
do that.
thank you. It made my life easy.
So if you had one piece of advice to leave to someone who's planning an off-site ranch or mountain wedding, something that you've learned or some piece that was just so special to you you'll never forget, what would it be?
I think, first of all, is have trust, or pick someone who you can have trust in as far as your catering goes and planning your wedding, and decide how much you really want to take on. For me, I knew I didn't really want to take on anything personally. I think we did our own invitations and a few knickknacks here and there, but you have to give trust and communication. If you don't like something or you love something, make it very apparent. But as far as the wedding day, I think although I think it comes very naturally, the morning of my wedding, I had this calm upon me, which the night before I was probably a total wreck because I was just so nervous wanting everything to go perfect. But then I realized whether I want tomorrow morning to come at a certain time or not, it will come at the same hour as it would every day. And then my wedding will pass, and I don't want to spend that time cramped or depressed or worried about how things will go, because at the end I get to be married to my husband. And that's what it's all about, that the people that come to your wedding aren't there for this extravagant party, although it's great to have that as well, but they're really there to see you sharing that day with another man and kind of bringing your life together. So I guess that's my
Kasha, would
advice.
you write a book for all my brides? You are like the poster child to what I wish every bride, the lessons that I would wish for her. They're right from you. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you
with
so
us.
much. I
And
appreciate
thanks
it.
Bride Access for having us today. Share with us this and other weddings at culinarycrafts.com.